Hello there everyone. This is a video, quite a special video. We have here a Twister CP V2. It's actually version 2.1. The reason I'm doing this video is because this is supposedly brand new. There you can see me. So the Twister V2.1 basically just featured a new battery beacon and, by the looks of things, a larger manual. So I'm just going to do a simple unboxing of this model helicopter and we'll do a little tour of it. Okay, so I've just flipped the box around here. We're presented with the box, obviously with the logo of the helicopter, which you'll see later. So here we go, let's take this bird out of the box. So the first thing we're presented with is the DVD, which was included with pretty much all of J. Perkins' models. But ironically, this actually features the Twister CP, which was the first collective pitch model. The V2 featured carbon fibre blades. However, you could actually use the wooden blades if you wanted to. Something I've definitely noticed is that the manual is much larger. The manuals used to be, I'd say, nearly half of the size of this A4 book, which is actually quite nice, this, because it's easier to read, although I'm not that old yet. And also, memorabilia, you'd include one of these, which features the Twister 3D and also the whole product line of the model helicopters which J. Perkins had for sale at the time. Okay, so here's the polystyrene top. So let's take it off and see the helicopter. And here you are. You are presented with the Twister CP. You've got your 35 megahertz receiver. Sorry, my hand's in the way. 35 megahertz receiver. So let's start by getting out the model helicopter. Be nice and cautious and careful. Look at that. Just unfold the blades. There you are. This is the Twister CP V2.1 and look at that canopy. Immaculate. Now the one thing with the Twister CP and even the fixed pitch model which had a terrible flaw was the, as you can see here, the small black receiver that sits in here has sharp edges. So if the canopy's in transport and it gets knocked, it can actually leave small marks, as you can see here. But nearly every model I've actually got has that, so it's not anything new. And you can see it needs a lovely dust up as well, as there's dust, as it's probably been in storage for a long time. First impressions? Absolutely gorgeous, looks shiny and brand new. You've got the low battery beacon here, which was also featured on the Twister Hawk and the Twister Medivac, and actually I believe the Skylift and the Aggressor and other models J. Perkins had at the time. So I'll just put the model to the side for now over here. You might see me in frame. And we will now move on to the controller, which I'm actually quite excited to see. And they are, as I always remember, very fiddly to get out. There we are. So there is the 6-channel transmitter with the lovely lovely silver sticks there, which were featured on the newer models. So let's just see if it's got an actual stamp here. And it has. It says 2006, the camera may not focus. So this was manufactured in 2006, which came with the model. It's also worth knowing as well that there is actually plastic covering on all of the bits of metal, which I will keep, because I like to preserve it. And now here is what's fascinating more than anything. These are the original batteries that came with the Twister helicopters, and they are still sealed. So I don't know what they're like, they might have oxidised, they don't look like that they have, but that is brilliant. Brand new batteries, even though I will probably use rechargeable batteries. That's a great starter for me though, just saves me taking my models out. You then have your standard charger, which is really cool as well. It's a balancer for 3 cells. Now I must say one thing though, the eBay seller I got this from, fantastic, absolutely brilliant guy I got it from, didn't come with the 2 batteries. Which is absolutely fine anyway, because being that it's from 2006, the models, probably batteries wouldn't work. But I managed to actually buy a battery a long time ago, which is still brand new, 850 milliamps, 11.1 volts, there's the make, and it's actually recommended on the packaging, which we'll look at later, for this particular helicopter. And it will also be noted that I will have to modify the helicopter without destroying it or breaking it, just so I can have this stick on the bottom, as I don't really like the elastic bands which are on all the other models. Let's put that over there too. And another little nice bit is that you get a sticker. Now on the front of the packaging you see that they've actually stuck this on the very front. I just keep them for, let's just say, for collection really. So you have that. You've also got in here, let's see this, this is a warning on the lithium batteries. Presented here. Just a guideline of safety, obviously because lithium polymer is quite dangerous. And you can actually see as well the new JP logo on the bottom there, indicating that yes, this is indeed a more recent revision. Put that to the side. We have some foam here, not foam, sorry, Velcro. Seems like it's two-sided, probably for the battery as well. Always worth keeping, so we'll keep that to the side. Quite a few of this, I must say. Still sealed, hasn't been opened, as they are sealed like this anyway in the factory. We have some cable ties, we have some double-sided tape, an Allen key for the blades, which is great because again it's extra parts for me. Now the last bit is the charger, which is the mains charger. Again, it all feels brand new. That feeling when you take a plug out and it just feels firm. Obviously in the UK it's 12 volts. If anyone does actually have one of those chargers, if anyone's interested, output is 12 volts at 1.5 amps. Not that there would be anything under here, let's just see. And I can tell you that there's nothing on the bottom and there is nothing in the bottom. So that's everything in the box. And just so you're interested, that's the top section, which we will put back here as well. From this stage, let's have a look at what the box has. Okay, so the camera had to charge a bit. It has been sitting around for a while, but there you go. So the top here you've got the picture of the helicopter followed with text. Completely built with collective pitch, unbelievable flight performance, CP Bell, Hiller, carbon rotor version for intermediate to advanced pilot, indoor, outdoor, silent flight. I will admit actually this model is quite quiet outside. And also, they are test flown. So that's kind of their quality assurance really. Whenever it's in a box, you know that it's passed for that customer in particular. Starting from this would be the back. Here's the specifications of the model. And you can probably just see below it as well items that are required. So in some cases, it wouldn't come up with the batteries. Now, what I'm wondering is if possibly this version was just without, the excluded batteries, because there were two versions that came with two sets of batteries and one set without it. But obviously we do actually have the AA dry cell batteries for the transmitter. So adjustable fly bar weight to customize response, 120 degrees CCPM, pre-positioned servo mounts for easy setup, carbon fiber boom. You can probably read all this without me talking over it. Recommended for 16 years of age and up. When I started flying these, how old was I? I was actually 16. But I must make it clear that in one of my videos where I showed all my models, I never actually had a Twister CP V2. And the reason is because I could hardly fly the fixed pitch version. I wasn't skilled enough. So it was only later on in my adult years that I decided to try and find some. But obviously these you can't buy anymore brand new from a shop, so you never know what you're going to get. On this side you got another picture of the model, and you can actually see there's the contents. There's a small tick through there. I don't know if I can focus on that bit, but so you've got the servos, receiver and everything else, all the kit, so you could actually have it just on its own and you program it to your own controller. And on the flip side here, so you see it says free batteries and alkaline cells, which is what we had, and distributed to toy and hobby shops throughout Australia, New Zealand and sole agents. So obviously these came all the way over probably from Australia for their country in the UK. And on the back you got exactly the same thing. Just if you're interested, that was stuck on the front. I've actually seen that before on a shop when I was much younger. The test flown stickers, so those are all original. And it's a shame because the price tag's gone. But I'd have estimated this to be about £200 at least. £250. Right, with the box out the way, let's have a look at the model and the contents. Okay, so here's everything out the box. We have the helicopter, our controller, charger, batteries, DVDs, manual and fly poster, power adapter for the charger, the lithium information safety sheet, double-sided Velcro, and double-sided tape. So at this stage we're actually ready to go ahead and set the model up. Now this video is only an unboxing, but just thought I'd let you guys all know really that these models, even though they are as said ready out of the box, you should always do some checks. I actually have a Razor 500 SC which is from Century UK, and it was pre-built, but there was a huge warning sign in the middle of the box saying check all blades and everything, because actually the main rotor blades were so loose that they wouldn't even track, they'd wobble, so I had to tighten them up, but probably they did that for shipping. So if anyone's actually after any of these models and just wants to get a rough idea of how they sound or how they look new, so what you're looking for is, for a start, the model should have a quality control passed on it. Now I must say that older models, and this might be the V2, may not have that on there. I've only seen that on recent revisions of models. The canopy should have absolutely no defects or cracks and should look lovely and white. Now obviously what I would say is if you see any markings here on the canopy, that will always happen. And in most cases it's done through shipping. So that's something you can't really resolve unless you buy a brand new canopy and change it, but there's no point because you've got to use this one. Another thing to check is by the sound of the motor. It sounds really daft, but it should feel lovely and crisp and have no funny jutters from the gears. It doesn't even feel like the brushes have been worn in, which is lovely. Also be very cautious of things like foam getting stuck in between parts. That can definitely cause a problem for a collective pitch model. I'll actually remove that later on. Another thing, the aerial. Now obviously anyone can wrap an aerial back up like this, but that is how it should come. But I would advise not to fly with it like that. You should have either a tube running along... Oops, sorry, I'm all over the place with my camera. So this should be out by a little bit. And should run all the way towards the end of the tail boom, but not near the rear propeller, because if you start getting stutters with this model aircraft while flying, it can actually affect the pitch control, and I've had that happen before. And if you were flying below a table or if you were flying low and it stuttered, you might smash your model to bits and there's no way you could recover from it. I'm not too sure why it's gone all white and funny. It seems to be changing colour. That might just be a defect in the plastic. I've actually got plenty spares anyway, so if I wasn't too happy I could always change it. But yes, that's how one should look. Again, if you get batteries like this with them that are in the plastic packaging, very good sign. And what some people might wonder is, well, why did they not use it? Well, with model aircraft it's like all things. You might buy a present for someone. They might look at it and think, oh, that's a bit advanced for my level, and they put it away and they forget about it. Although, for the price in the day, I'm quite amazed, really. And actually, something else, just while I remember, the V2.1, which I've noticed, the tail twists. But if I'm totally honest with you, that is kind of an advantage, because if you do land funny and the tail spins, it will cause less damage on here. And if this tail boom breaks, it's a disaster, because it's actually glued in from what I know, unless this model's different, but that was the only problem. But yes, so that is a video of the Twister CP-V2 version 1. Hopefully I'll get a video on soon with the model flying.